August 30, 1997. The streets of Paris glowed under the streetlights as a black Mercedes S280 sped through the Ponte Alma tunnel. Inside the car sat Diana, Princess of Wales, arguably the most famous woman in the world. She was not alone. Beside her sat Dodi Fayed, her rumored lover. In the front seat, their driver, Henry Paul, maneuvered through traffic at breakneck speed. Behind them, paparazzi trailed like vultures, their camera flashes slicing through the darkness. Moments later, a deafening crash. Twisted metal, screeching tires, silence. Diana was still alive when the paramedics arrived, but the damage was done. Just hours later, the world awoke to the impossible news. Princess Diana, the people's princess, was gone. But was it just a tragic accident, or was there something more sinister at play? This is the untold story of Princess Diana, her rise, her struggles, and the mystery surrounding her death. Diana Frances Spencer was born on July 1, 1961, into British aristocracy. Raised in a fractured household, her parents' bitter divorce shaped much of her early years. Shy, sensitive, yet deeply empathetic, Diana grew up yearning for stability and love. Then came Prince Charles. Their courtship seemed like a fairy tale, an ordinary girl swept into the heart of the royal family. But behind the grand spectacle, cracks were already forming. Diana was barely 20 when she married Charles in 1981, and the world watched as she became the most photographed woman on earth. What they didn't see, the loneliness, the pressure, and the shadow that followed her everywhere. Camilla Parker Bowles. The world saw a princess. Diana saw a prison. From the very start, her marriage was troubled. Charles, still emotionally tied to Camilla, was distant. Diana, desperate for affection, found herself spiraling. She suffered from bulimia, depression, and extreme loneliness. But in public, she smiled. Yet cracks in the fairy tale couldn't be hidden forever. The famous Camilla Gate tapes leaked. Diana's famous BBC interview in 1995, where she uttered the now iconic words.
Very much so.
Do you think Mrs. Parker Bowles was a factor in the breakdown of your marriage?
Well, there were three of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded.
The royal dream had shattered, and the public, they took Diana's side. By 1996, the divorce was finalized, but that was just the beginning. Free from royal restraints, Diana became more powerful than ever. Her humanitarian work, from AIDS awareness to landmine campaigns, made her a global icon. But she also made enemies. Some say too many. Then came Dodi Fayed, the billionaire playboy. A romance that set the tabloids on fire. But was it just love? Or something far more dangerous? Dodi was Muslim. Diana, the mother of the future king. Was the British establishment ready for such a reality? Some claim this relationship was the final straw, one that put Diana directly in the crosshairs of those who saw her as the problem. As the summer of 1997 unfolded, Princess Diana wasn't just a woman in love. She was a woman being watched. Paparazzi trailed her every move, their cameras clicking like gunfire, their relentless pursuit turning her life into a living nightmare. She wasn't just the most photographed woman in the world. She was the most hunted. Diana had always been media savvy, but this was different. The flashing lights weren't just from gossip magazines anymore. Shadows lurked in the background. Strange men in dark suits, unfamiliar cars following too closely, a creeping feeling that someone, somewhere, wanted her silenced. She confided in close friends, her voice low and urgent. "They're going to kill me in a car crash." A terrifying premonition or a desperate cry for help. Dodi Fayed was her escape. With him, she could finally breathe, away from the cold formality of royal life. The press painted it as a whirlwind romance, but Diana saw it as something more, a second chance at happiness. But was happiness even possible when the world saw closing in? Little did she know her last night was already being written. August 30, 1997, Diana and Dodi were staying at the Ritz Hotel in Paris. That night, they left, attempting to dodge relentless paparazzi. Their driver, Henry Paul, was reportedly intoxicated. At 12:23 a.m., the Mercedes entered the Ponte Alma tunnel. Moments later, impact. The car slammed into the 13th pillar. Dodi and Henry Paul died instantly. Diana, though severely injured, was still alive. She was rushed to the Pité-Salpêtrière hospital. At 4 a.m., she was pronounced dead. The world was in shock.
Princess Diana dead.
Oh, she died.
Where's the remote?
Oh my god.
As grief settled, questions arose. The official story? A tragic accident caused by a drunk driver and aggressive paparazzi. But not everyone bought it. Here's why. The missing cameras. CCTV cameras in the tunnel were mysteriously off that night. Why? The ambulance delay. Diana was alive but wasn't taken to the hospital for nearly 1 hour and 45 minutes. A critical delay. The white Fiat Uno. Witnesses claimed another car clipped Diana's Mercedes moments before the crash. That Fiat was never found. MI6 involvement. Former MI6 agent Richard Tomlinson claimed British intelligence had a plan identical to Diana's crash for assassinating a foreign leader. And then there was Dodi's father, Mohammed Al-Fayed. He publicly stated, "Diana and my son were murdered." But by who? And why? Many believe Diana had become too much of a liability to the monarchy. She was outspoken, independent, and a loose cannon. And if the rumors of her being pregnant with Dodi's child were true, the idea of a Muslim stepfather to a future king could not be allowed. Diana herself feared for her life. In a letter written in 1995, she chillingly predicted, "My husband is planning an accident in my car, brake failure, and serious head injury to make the path clear for him to marry." Whether coincidence or prophecy, 2 years later, she was dead. Princess Diana was more than a royal. She was a movement, a force that transcended the British monarchy. Did she die in a tragic accident, or was she silenced? The truth remains buried in the wreckage of that Paris tunnel, wrapped in secrecy, lost in whispers. Her death wasn't just the loss of a princess. It was the death of an icon who could have changed the world. But even in death, they couldn't erase her. They couldn't stop her legacy. And they never will.